A very good morning and a very happy and prosperous, peaceful new year for you. I was driving home from being at my family for Hogmanay with two dogs and my daughter's two dogs in the back. They're coming out to stay for a couple of days, and it's beautiful white snow. The roads were quite bad for driving, but the landscape was immensely beautiful, immensely and profoundly peaceful. Very little cars at this time of the year, and it was great. And I was driving home and I thought it's so beautiful, and suddenly a car overtook me. Wasn't driving too fast, the road conditions weren't that great, so managed to overtake easily. And as it passed, the peace and tranquility of my beautiful experience of being in this profound, white, beautiful, paradisial, heavenly and silent experience with two dogs was broken. Not by the car overtaking, but it had two words written on the back of the car. And the two words suddenly took me back to this mental, psychological world. The two words were zero emissions. And for a moment, when I looked, I thought it said zero emotions. And I said, well, good for you, another human overcome this suffering, fluctuating up and down, opposing world of emotions. And of course, I quickly realized that it said zero emissions, which kind of put my mind into another state saying, what does it mean? You see, the words are on the car. So if the words in the car said zero emotions, I would assume that that car had no emotions. It had zero emotions. That's the capacity of this mind. So this car has zero emissions. So I thought, I don't know what that means. And then the mind comes in and said, well, is it aiming? You see, mind has an understanding that it has to overcome things. Yeah, that it has to move on and transcend and understand and discover, and then move on and transcend and understand and discover, and maybe solve, or maybe have some completed end journey. So did the zero emissions mean we must attain zero emissions? Or is it my mind? Is it the mind that maybe had read recently or watched a television program to say that our aim is to reach zero emissions? Or is it already zero emissions? Is the car saying, I am zero emission? The world is zero emission. This is a story, and this is how quickly the mind can be manipulated and engulfed by its own creative and programmed, inherited ways. You see, the idea of measuring whether there is zero emissions or whether we're attaining zero emissions from 100,000 emissions, whatever emissions are, you see, because if you take the whole story back to the basics, what is emissions? Show me emissions. And of course, the intelligent, the one that is studying what they call what the world is made up, will say, well, how old are you? You don't know what emissions are? You see, my mind's capacity only is like, this is a pen. I can hold it in my hand. I can give it a name pen. But give me some emissions in my hands, you see. I'm already emissions, you see. Emissions now appear to be something negative. you know. If they were negative, do you think the world would not be taking it seriously? If they thought it was the end of human race or the end of the planet, don't you think the nuclear plants and the paper plants and the plastic plants and all these plants that are, I'm assuming that's what they do, they inject emissions into the atmosphere, and this little car is a success. This one has 0 emissions. This one is doing its job properly. If it was taken seriously, emissions are essential. We are built up. We are made of with what this earth is. But let's not look at what this speaker thinks. Let's look at what the mind did. The mind began to measure. The mind is now measuring what emissions is. How many emissions? You know, whether it is emotions or emissions, it's a measurement. It's an idea that we can understand what we are. We can understand what the world is. We can understand what the universe is. This universe is built up with what they call energy. And in this energy there are so many things interacting. That's what they say. That's all I know. I'm not up with the terminology, because words really affect the mind to the state that it becomes crazy. It becomes crazy with the need to understand why the whale species is dying and how we can save it and how we can take DNA from it and how we can, you know, try and resolve it. We can't save our own species. You can't save your own body. It will be taken away by the emissions that it is, by the energy that it is, by the water that it is, by the light that it is. But the journey was tranquil until these 2 simple words affected the quality of the journey, you see. The journey was tranquil. 45 minutes of just absolute peace and tranquility, and visually stimulated the emotions. And they weren't stimulated to the sense that it was beautiful, they were stimulated to the sense that this is okay. This is just great, as it is. My New Year message and my final message is, we are immeasurable. The universe is immeasurable. You know what? I actually stopped the car halfway to let the dogs out for a little pee and some fresh air. And they were walking in the snow, and I bent down, and these crystals of snow were immensely beautiful. And I looked at one very closely, and I thought, this is the universe in one crystal of snow. So we can transcend. Imagine if you could transcend the whole universe and become the whole universe, and look at yourself as the whole universe. And you can zone into different parts of your little planets that's within your universe. You know, the Earth is your organ, the Neptune is your liver. Yeah? Saturn is your heart. You can zone into the crystal, and you say, wow, I wish I could see that crystal very clearly. I wish I could see me as a minuscule thing very clearly and very, very precisely. I can't see my whole self, you see, but I can see that little crystal of snow that I am, and it projects a mirror-like image of what I am. Yet we cannot envisage ourselves as the little crystal body looking into this vast galaxy of love, crystallized love, made up of emotions and emissions and energies and lights. It's not a very simple measurement. It's a mirror reflection of that what is. I am that, and that I am. I am that, and that I am. God says it in the Bible to Moses. But we have to measure it. We have to go step by step, looking at things, taking things apart, killing animals and species to identify what they are and what possibilities they can do. And when they seem to go out as if they're dying, the species is dying, we then have to try and save them. We're already killing them and now we want to save them. That's a reflection, isn't it? You see, we're reflecting ourselves in every way we do. So the mind reflected itself with the two words, zero emissions. The one that really was genuinely here, present in the moment, was reflecting itself as the external world. That beautiful, white, tranquil peace. And the dogs. The dogs were of no problem. The dogs caused no concern to the mind. Watch what you write in your car. Watch what you write in your social media. Watch what you write in your texts. Watch what you write. Because every word will stimulate the emotions. Even the emissions will stimulate the emotions. You take away the word emission, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I don't even see it as a crystal bit of snow. It's an idea, it's a concept, it's another way of trying to solve that what we have created. We create our own way of dying and then we say, let's save ourselves before we die. A mental constructed way that really is of no importance. Because the journey, or the one inside that is not journeying, is watching itself journey, is watching itself in every aspect. So there was a me, something inside, watching myself become part of this non-dual world. And then there was a me watching myself being taken out of that into the mind of zero emissions. And then a mind of discovering, analysing what's taking place, what do the words mean, what's going on. But it doesn't affect the one that is witnessing. You'll have no effect on yourself, good or bad. And that's my New Year message. And that's my final message. You will not affect anything or anyone in this world, good or bad. And you'll not affect yourself, good or bad. The mind will make many effects of what is taking place with you in this human body against other human bodies, and the state of what you call the world or the planet, and your job and your life and your marriage and your relationships and your associations and your identities and your hopes and your beliefs. The mind will make so many stories out of it. And it will make so many stories out of enlightenment and awakening and religion and God and spirit and consciousness and soul. None of these are important. None of the external nor the internal is important. Only the witnessing. What happened to the witness? Well, the witness is the witnessing. You see? That's why you cannot focus on one thing for 1 second. Even if you make so many words and so many cards, you can't focus them all at once. Because the witnessing has created a mind to try and understand what it's witnessing. And the witnessing is so quick, so undisputably everywhere, in all ways. Always. That the moment you surrender to the witnessing, you see, so many times you hear the words from great saints, Ramana Maharshi and Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, and they say, give up, surrender. But you're not giving up your body, you're not giving up your mind, you're giving up to that what you are. You're giving up to the witnessing, and you allow the witnessing to proceed on its own. You allow the measurer that wants to measure emissions and emotions and spend their life measuring and measuring and measuring and worrying and becoming frightened and then suffering and then feeling ill because the measuring of the emissions is causing the whole problem, because there is no problem when there's no measuring. I don't know if this makes sense. But you see, the quality and the capacity of this mind makes no apologies. It cares not about the words in the car, about what is going on in the world of that what we want, as the mind, the ego, to prevent. If you want to prevent something, don't worry about it. Don't fear it. And don't create an identification out of it. Because the minute you create an identification, there's a measurement. Is it good? Is it bad? Will it hurt me? What will it do? Will it give me something? Will it not be for me? Will it be for someone else? Questions, 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 questions out of names, out of words. No more teaching about I. That's your own story, your own personal process or journey, or whatever you want to call it. You want to follow religion, follow religion. You want to follow emissions, follow emissions. If you want to follow your emotions, follow your emotions. If you want to follow your name, follow your name. If you want to follow titles, follow titles. If you want to follow division, follow division, because the mind only sees division. I quickly laughed at what was taking place in the car as the car drifted off into the distance. And there I said, look, there it is, 0 emissions. It's gone. It's gone. Nowhere. Just a moment of fluctuating from God to say, look, let's question this one. Let's see the state of this one. Let's give this one another test, another trial. And when the car disappeared, everything was as it is. Everything became back into that present moment. The car was forgotten about until I sat here and said good morning. And it's back again to tease and taunt. But the strong, the real disciplined, the gladiator with no mind, sits with that bulletproof jacket, and the thought comes, let's talk about 0 emissions. And you say, yeah, not today though. Thank you. No. Go into a lecture hall, do your stuff, get your slides out, tell them what you've learned, what you think, what you know, what's going to happen, what you believe, what you have learned, want to share. And they'll take whatever they want to take and they'll go. And you will be like the car of that 0 emissions. You'll just disappear into the future, and some will follow you. And some will go into the landscape, into their self, and say, everything is just great as it is. I don't need words, I don't need identifications. I just need to be here in the present moment. And when I'm here in the present moment, the car would not have been recognized. But the mind is always seeking, circulating, looking for something, because it's bored. It wants to improve. David Bohm, Patrick McGugan, so many people said the problem with humanity is they want to know. They try too hard. They envisage an afterlife. They envisage an end. They envisage an outcome. And yet, they have never found the beginning. Look and discover the beginning, like Rumi and the speaker, and you'll see everything is not as it seems. Everything is what you are. Seamless. Zero dimensions. 0 emissions. 0 emotions. Drop all the words and leave 0. And then let 0 go. Because 0 even troubles you. 0 even cannot take you into that surrendering witnessing. Because it has an effect on the mind. And the mind has an effect, it will create an effect. And then it's back on the train of 0 emissions. Looking for another car, looking for another way. I wonder what the car driver really is riding in the car. It's not the car that is it's analysing its emissions. It's the driver or the maker or the painter saying, let's M for zero emissions. And then you believe that it's not all right now. In a car journey, there is breath, there is an ability to move, there's a sensation, there is this incredible, tranquil, white, paradisial, beautiful, universal love. And it's broken. One thought, one car, 2 words. That's what we do to each other. We keep throwing things, here you go, and you keep batting them away. But some, or most, they collect them. I have an opinion on emissions. I think blah 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 blah. I'm in the lecture hall. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I have an opinion about religion. I have an opinion about this. I have an opinion about all these things. I have choices. I have abilities. I have successful ways of promoting what is good and what is bad. I am okay. Some days I'm good. Some days I'm bad. Some days I'm bored. Sometimes I'm at peace. You're always at peace. Just a crazy mind. This crazy mind knew it came to the end of craziness when it wanted to destroy the body. You know when you're crazy, that's when you really know when you're crazy, when you want to take yourself out of this life. Yeah? And then something you say, okay, if I have a crazy mind, if that's the problem, take it away. Take it away. And leave me with nothing. And you're left with emptiness, with nothing. And a basic mind that you cannot get rid of because it belongs to the body. The mind that says, I want to pee, I want to eat, I want to talk, I want to sing, I want to listen, I want to dance. Because that's the body that wants these things. You, the witnessing, consciousness, pure. Happy New Year. And that's me. Resolution is to be in the moment, be present, and watch and witness this incredible, mystical, magical, profound life. And look at the car, and look at the words, and smile, and say, have a good day on your journey. So have a good life on your journey. From Popsy, Graham, done.